welcome to another episode of Something Sinister podcast. Woo! If you are only listening, you are probably very confused.
Yeah, and if you are only listening, you should look at us on YouTube.
So,
we are in scream masks. Yeah, so, yeah.
We just did a photo shoot, just some new pictures coming out, and honestly, we understand our biggest complaint has been our faces, so we're like, let's cover them up, give the people what they want, and that's screaming titties. So that's what we did.
The ghost face and the boobs.
And the boobies. So here you go. So news, we just did.
Okay.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, it's so hot in there.
Oh, shit.
And we're back.
Did you miss us?
So, trivia night.
Yeah, trivia night, St.
Was a
Cities
hit.
in Branson. Oh, it was a huge hit. We got
Yep.
super lit.
We did.
We had murder margaritas once again, which is what we are drinking tonight.
Yep.
Clink. So, trivia was great. We went home. I had to remind Alexa that she did throw dog poop off of my balcony in hopes that it would make it into a trash can that was at least 100 feet away.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty close.
Yeah. No. Not close. She ended up in a shopping cart at one point in the night.
And if you follow us on Instagram or any of our socials,
you saw all of that.
probably saw it. And now you know why.
So,
Because the murder margaritas were murder margaritas.
they murdered our brains.
They did.
They murdered our liver. Is it
Our liver,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, liver. Sorry.
Also, whenever this episode comes out, we will be at the podcast movement in Dallas. So we are so freaking excited. We hope that we get to meet Joe Rogan.
Yeah, okay.
That's the end goal.
We're manifesting a few things. Meet Joe Rogan, instantly become millionaires.
Instantly,
That's it.
be like professional
List of all my
millionaire
goals.
podcasters. That's it. It's
So-
not that hard.
Follow us on Instagram. We're
Yes.
going to be live streaming, tuning in with you guys. Avery is going to be with us from Chiller Queen Podcast, so we're going to do some stuff with her, I'm sure.
And James Basinger from
Yes.
Hide and Seek Podcast, he's going to be with us as well. So we are super excited.
we're basically famous.
Pretty much.
By association. Only.
Only
Only, to be
association.
clear.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
That's the news.
that's it.
Another news, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about today.
Oh,
because
yes.
she wouldn't
Okay.
tell me, and it's a surprise.
So we're doing a short sinister story. Leo's, bye. Get out of here. We're done with you until next year. We're moving into Virgo. But we got to finish out the Leo season with a short sinister story. And there's there's actually a lot of back reason as to why I did this. But typically how this goes is we pick a topic that we both kind of are familiar with or whatever. But life has been kind of crazy. Alexa has been taking a lot of the load for short, sinister stories. And so I was like, screw you. I've got it.
I'm doing it all.
I'm not telling you what it is, so you can't look it up. And I'm just going to tell you, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me. You're going to be like, I hate you. I hate you.
Okay.
Did I mention you're going to hate me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, first off,
Murder Margaritas is our something spike.
yes, if you're 21 or older, drink. I don't,
Disclaimer.
yes, disclaimer. Okay. I gotta keep the screen away from her. Okay. Disclaimer. Our videos and podcasts are for entertainment purposes. All information discussed was found on the internet. Keep in mind, we'll talk all things sinister that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer and listener discretion is advised, and I want to stress this for this episode. Allegedly.
Oh god.
Okay. Today we are talking about dark Disney. Yay! And Alexa goes crazy. Okay.
Oh my
So I got inspired by this topic because one of our trivia questions was about whether or not there were real skeletons in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's true. And then I got to thinking, holy shit. If that's true, that's pretty sick.
I mean, there are a lot of dark things with Disney.
There are.
Let's be honest.
So I was torn if I should do, because there's a lot of conspiracy behind the movies and the storylines and the characters, but I'm like, Alexa's going to be so lost. Because I can literally recite all of this without looking at my notes. But I was like, if I do the movies, she's going to be like, whatever. And if I had her do her homework, she'd have to watch like 5 Disney movies. So this is all based on the theme parks. The theme park aspects.
Yeah.
So buckle up.
Oh gosh.
Craziest thing about this when I decided. So this is our 50th episode.
Yeah.
Disney World is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of
Fate.
wild. Yeah.
Fate, guys.
So, okay, drinking word. Obviously, our something spiked. It's murder margarita is what makes it look like kind of like blood. Is the pomegranate juice.
Yes.
So it's so good. So what is our drinking word? Disney.
Allegedly. Don't sue us.
Okay. Don't sue us. Okay, so anytime you hear the word Disney, take a drink. If you're not drinking alcohol, take a sip of your little Gatorade or Pedialyte.
You need a Powerade. Pedialyte. Did it with a straw. Bendy only. Okay.
Bendy only.
Bendy's. Okay. So
God.
Disney World is in Florida. Disneyland is in California. Just so you know.
I know that.
Okay, I don't know how uneducated you are on this subject. But here we go. So, Disney World is who's celebrating their 50th anniversary. Disneyland opened in 1955, which is 67 years ago.
Okay.
So, let's talk about some less magical moments, shall we? I love that tagline. Okay. First, let's start with the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Okay, I like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Have you ever been to the parks?
I've been to Disney World.
Recently?
No, I was like 14.
Okay, well then you might know or like be able to picture some of this. But for people who haven't been, and for my co-host here, Pirates of the Caribbean first opened in 1967 at Disneyland, the original park.
Wow.
So it's an indoor boat ride. It takes you through the story of a band of pirates traveling through the Caribbean Sea. They're causing chaos in the West Indies Islands.
Okay.
So it's my top 3 favorite ride at Disney. It's wow. Okay. I'll just try to say the D. Okay. So the movies were actually inspired by the ride. Okay. The ride came first.
All right.
So they've gone through a series of updates since then, just to kind of make the rides fit the movie and like blah 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 blah. But this is an OG ride.
OG.
And yes, real skeleton remains existed as props. Fake skeletons weren't convincing enough for Walt Disney. He was part of the construction.
Not surprised.
Before his death, he was part of the design of everything, and he's like, that looks kind of hokey, so let's contact
the real things. Get some cadavers.
Let's contact UCLA's medical center, and so they gathered remains from their anatomy department. Yep, absolutely proven and true.
Wow.
So, after the improvement of technology, the skeletons were returned to their proper countries and they were given proper burials and everything, supposedly. But guests and even former cast members, which they call their employees cast members. So, when you hear me say that, it's an employee, but be respectful.
Okay.
Respect their proper nouns. So, former cast members claim that they are still there. So, spooky, and
I believe it.
The main one being above the headboard, and for anybody that goes and listens, you know what I'm talking about. So, anyways. So, they also say that this ride is haunted by a spirit named George. So, George was hired for the construction for Pirates at Walt Disney World. So, we're jumping to Florida. Okay. So, he either fell... or something happened, but the main theory is that he was crushed by a falling beam in construction for like an indoor tower.
Okay.
Ultimately died. So there is a scene in the ride that you can still see the fallen beam that is now named George's Tower. Like they kept it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a little twisted.
A little bit.
Yes. And it also has his initials carved in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know if he did that. Like he was like, oh, I'm going going to put this beam up, carve George, and then whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what he did.
Okay.
So shortly after opening, George is dead at this point. A woman asks to ride the ride alone in her boat, which these are pretty big boats. And this is kind of like a creepy, like indoor rides. Like it's very spooky.
Right. I mean, the movie is kind of creepy and spooky.
And they do a great job of like, you feel like you're going through those movies.
Okay.
So she asks to ride alone, and then she was seen talking to no one throughout the ride and sobbing the entire time. And it's said later, it's rumored that was his mother. Yeah.
What?
I got chills. Yeah. So, eerie. It kind of adds
eerie
to the spookiness of the ride itself.
Yeah.
So,
a little bit.
They also have a rule amongst cast members. You must tell George good morning and good evening, each person. If you do not, the ride will surely experience malfunctions and sometimes even shut down completely. So It is like a ritual that when they open and close, it's good morning, George. Good evening, George.
Wow.
Yes.
I wonder if, so did you work at Disney?
No, I worked for a national tour that was like a Disney sister.
Okay.
But
your friend did, Courtney.
Yes. I have several friends that have worked there.
I wonder if she knows of that.
Maybe.
She worked at Disneyland.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure she worked as a cast member. Or I think she was with characters.
Oh my gosh.
I'll have to ask
I wonder
her.
if she's heard of this. Okay.
Courtney, if you're listening.
Let us know in the comments.
Confirm or deny. So, it said that George isn't evil. He's just very mischievous. And so that's why he kind of does this. But also if he hears guests that are audibly complaining or just not having fun, he will also do the same.
He'll intervene and make them have fun.
Intervene, but specifically females. It said that he likes to taunt the female writers, which is but keep in mind, this man passed in the 60s. I guess I was a thing.
Wow.
So, yeah. There's tales that there's certain, so obviously you're going through different scenes in the ride, that if certain lights are on or off, it is a signal that paranormal activity is happening or has happened that day. There were too many for me to list it, but they're obviously you're going through towns and all burning cities. And so if certain lights are like fake candles or whatever, then that means that it will occur or it has occurred.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. He also hates when people ride as pirates in the boat. If you come in costume, he will be
thinks it's disrespect.
Yeah,
So he's like,
so
I'm
he'll
really
shut it
fucking
down.
with you.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, how crazy.
Yeah, I was oh, now I want to ride it and watch for this
I
stuff.
dress up as a pirate.
And complain to see if he messes with me. This ride sucks.
Where's George?
Yo, George, get out here! Flip this boat! Okay. So now I have a personal experience with this one. And this is another reason why I wanted to cover it, because I was reminded. So now we're going to the Walt Disney World monorail. Sippy. So the monorail is the train network. It's just over 14 miles long. Mm-hmm. It takes guests from resorts or to the different parks, everywhere in between. Obviously, several deaths have occurred just by acts of God or people that go where they shouldn't go throughout the park.
Right.
But there was specifically, this is kind of the most notable one, a 19-year-old boy in 1966 scaled a fence, didn't heed warnings, and was hit by a train. And this would have been the early days of the park, so that's probably why it's most commonly talked about.
Yeah.
Drivers to this day still report seeing a man on the tracks, but as soon as they get close enough, he just disappears. And several people have seen this.
And you saw this?
No, I saw this next thing.
Okay. I'm
so, this in itself is a very tragic story. And one thing I looked up this stuff just for fun, especially before I went to Disney World last summer. But I want to stress this. These are this next story I'm about to tell. It said everywhere that I read, do not bring this up to cast members. It's a very touchy subject. They are specifically instructed not to talk about it. So just don't get in trouble. And it's really fucking sad. So,
okay.
Long story short, this is in 2009. So these trains have the capability of, they like switch tracks, obviously, and they have a whole system, kind of like an airport, where they're messaging these people and signaling.
Yeah.
And there was like a one train going forward, one train going backward situation where I'm making this really simple, but one was supposed to back into another track and it didn't.
Okay.
So the track, the car that was backing up didn't have passengers in it, thank goodness. But the purple train, which was going forward, did have a driver. Mm-hmm. And he saw what was happening. He overrode the system, and his train does have passengers on it. He tries to back it up, can't do it in time. We're going full speed here, and it completely demolishes the front half of his train. So he unfortunately died. His name was Austin Woonenberg. Unfortunately, he was young. He was loved by everyone. There was one story where he even let like this family come up to the driver's seat and like let the kids see like the controls, and just went out of his way kind of person. So the monorail, treating it as its actual transport, even though some people see it as like a Disney ride. It's not a ride and was completely refigured for safety. Guests and cast members at the time demanded a memorial for Austin's position, and they were met with huge disappointment, which I do kind of understand. Disney doesn't want to disturb the magic with a memorial. Again, they don't even want to be talking about it at the parks. It's very sad, and it kind of takes away from what they represent.
Right.
So they were like, okay, well, at least when you replace the train, do something that's like, people who know will know.
Right.
Well, they didn't. They replaced his vibrant purple train with this awful peach color. It's the only one that's peach. It's like skin colored. It's weird. And so people are like, well, shit, that's not, could have made it like rainbow or something.
What the fuck?
So here's my story. We go to Disney World with my boyfriend at the time, and I was telling him about this. And I was like, it's the craziest thing. I haven't ridden those trams before, and so I was really excited because it's just like a staple for the parks. And we are waiting late at night after the parks have closed. We're going out to a Disney bar, and I literally looked at him and I said, what if we get the peach train? He's like, no way. Peach train fucking pulls into the station, and we rode it.
Oh my god.
I shit you not. I did not see this thing coming. It was late at night. We were in line, and I was telling him the story, and the peach train freaking pulls up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How crazy.
Yeah. Pretty sad. So lots of spooky tales with the monorail.
That's sad.
Next, we are moving on to Walt himself. So he was only involved in Disneyland before he died. He kept a loft. There's what they call Main Street USA. It's as you first enter the park. Shops. You see the castle in the back.
Okay.
Fun fact, they pump smellers into the outdoors so that like it draws you in.
Oh, wow.
Crazy shit.
Smart.
So there is a fire station, and Walt kept a loft above the fire station and made it a habit that there was a lamp in the window. He would turn this lamp on anytime he was there, just to let park guests know Walt's on property. You might get to see him. You might get autographs. It just became like a fan favorite thing.
Okay.
So after his death, a woman was cleaning the loft. It was later used as like a VIP suite or just kind of like a holy ground.
Yeah.
She was cleaning the loft, turned off the light. When she left and reached the street level, she was like, oh shit, the light's on. So she goes back up to the loft, turn the lights off,
goes back down,
light is on again. And so she's like, I'm not going back up there. This is a sign.
Like, Walt's up there.
So to this day, they keep the light on at all times.
Wow.
They said anytime, they were like, Walt is in full control of this light.
Yeah. If he
Don't
wants
touch
it off,
it.
he can turn it off.
He can turn it off himself. Yep.
She's like, nope, I'm not going back up there for the third time.
First off, I know these parks are magical, but I don't know. Have you ever like walked through an amusement park at night?
No.
Yeah, that's a stupid question. Like, why would you? But I've walked through
like
many.
Silver Dollar City, but like it was when people were there.
Yeah, amusement parks. I've done Silver Dollar City and Six Flags, and I'm telling you, it's creepy.
Without
people and without the magic and the music and like it's
just creepy.
Nope. Next is the Haunted Mansion ride.
That was my favorite ride.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's similar to Pirates. It takes you to through the scene.
Yeah.
The movie is based on the ride.
Yeah.
You get the special effects that they have. They seat a ghost next to you. You look out into this ballroom and there's ghosts dancing. I mean, it's just incredible.
So cool. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So this is a popular spot for people to spread ashes.
Shut up.
Yes.
Why?
I guess because it's a haunted mansion and they're like, oh, death meet death. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I feel like I would at least go to the castle.
Oh my God.
I probably wouldn't spread ashes at Disney.
No, I would not spread ashes at Disney.
But Haunted Mansion is like the top place that they catch guests doing that. Unfortunately for these guests,
Y'all are crazy.
I know, it's kind of gross. And you're going to find out why it's gross.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, people obviously do this to honor loved ones, and they're immediately swept up by cast members and just discarded in the trash.
Well, of course.
They're not like...
What are they going to do with them?
Well, I guess some people are expecting if they get caught that they'll be able to scoop it back up and take them, and cast members don't touch it, goes in the trash. So, how this all kind of started, there's rumors of several spirits on this ride, but one boy is seen and felt by many. His mother spread his ashes after his death, and he died very young. Allegedly, the mother was pre-warned to not scatter the ashes, and so she did this secretly, even though there is no account that, this was, her son's favorite place, or this is what he would have wanted. It was just, she was dead set on doing this.
Okay.
So, this little boy can be seen crying near the exit of the ride, and here is why. They've brought in many mediums and psychics to feel out the presence of this boy, and they said it's because he wants to be free. Because his mom just randomly, despite warnings, left him there. And now he wants to be free. And so he hangs out by the exit of the ride and cries. Is that not the saddest thing? I have chills again. That is so sad to me.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
That is why I want my ashes spread. Like
in a field.
Nature. Somewhere outside.
Yep. So,
so sad. Poor boy. What was his name?
I don't know.
Oh, good job, Cadence.
Timmy.
Little Johnny.
So sad. During the festivals, they do put up gingerbread houses throughout the park, but definitely over by Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
And every year, roof shingles from the gingerbread houses will go missing.
Oh, wow.
They've tried to catch the people who do this, cameras, putting it in, and no one's been caught. So they suspect it's this boy.
Yeah.
So now what they do is they leave out an extra plate of just gingerbread shingles and crumbs, and they always go missing.
What in the world? It's not like mice taking them?
Well, maybe. Actually, good point.
Yeah, it could be mice.
I think Disney has rodent control on lock.
I would think so.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many rats running around the park.
Probably not. Yeah.
So, to wrap it up with Timmy, one medium even claimed to have talked to the boy, and when she asked what he wanted, he pointed to the exit before disappearing. Isn't that so bad? I'm not laughing because
it makes
funny.
you wonder if there are still some of his ashes somewhere.
Yeah.
Where they could find them and set him free.
I guess, or not seance. What's it called when you get rid of the demons?
Oh, an exorcism?
An exorcism, on the ride.
Yeah, right? I don't know how that would happen.
It is also rumored. So one of the beginning scenes of the ride, this is just short, there's a witch's book where her head pops up in the orb. And for a long time, they said that's a real spell book. That Disney, again, kind of like the skeletons, they used a real spell book, but when people figured it out, they were like, we replaced it with a prop. But some people are like, no, that shit's real.
It's the same one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And to the point of both the skeleton and the book, they have experts come in who say these things are aging as like a human skeleton would, or like as a book would. And so that's like their proof that, anyways.
Wow.
Scary. See, this is my kind of scary. Disney scary. Let's go on to the Matterhorn. So, you know the big mountain?
Yeah.
Okay. It is the first tubular steel roller coaster. It is modeled after a mountain in the Alps on the border of Switzerland and Italy. Mm-hmm. And it's a double roller coaster, so two coasters are going at the same time. It's the first of its kind, and it's one of Disneyland's OGs. And the Matterhorn also featured this like massive multi-billion-dollar Yeti that was really scary, but it kept breaking down. So I could do a deep dive over like abandoned amusement park history. Regardless, 1984, 30 years after its debut, 48-year-old Regina Dolly Young is decapitated after being thrown from the bobsled coaster and struck by the other car. So horribly sad. And you do at one point,
death.
You go like through the mountain and there's a dip and there was something about it, threw her out. So her seatbelt was not buckled. It's not known if she intentionally unbuckled it or if it was a malfunction of the seatbelt itself. Regardless, very unfortunate death. I'm sure extremely painful. I'm not laughing because it's funny.
Gosh. I can't even imagine.
Nope. So people now claim that ever since the ride has had this just overall eerie feeling. They get the feeling of specifically being watched, like they have to constantly watch their back. And we're talking about cast members. People have to inspect the ride, work at the ride, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So the area where she died is now known as Dolly's Dip, which I think is super fucking twisted.
That's so fucked up.
We're not laughing because it's funny. We're laughing because it's uncomfortable.
Oh my God. Dolly's Dip.
Everyone knows it as Dolly's Dip. And in fact, when I typed in Dolly's Dip, like all these articles and videos came up. Like this is a well-known thing, apparently.
Poor Dolly. Oh my God.
So no one ever sees her spirit. They just feel her presence, especially cast members who have to inspect inside of this cave area before and after operation. So they said that there's lights in the cave that are always malfunctioning. One cast member said that the entire time she worked there, the lights never worked. Despite being replaced and operated on, she never saw the lights on. So always burnt out, malfunctioning.
Oh my gosh.
And some can even hear Dolly.
I was going to ask.
Hear her. I'm assuming it screams. I mean, I don't know if she's singing. I don't know. I didn't want to know that's where we cross over into too dark for Cadence to read. Wow. So, and then some cast members have straight up refused to go to that area of the ride because of how bad the feelings are. Like, shit.
Why is the ride even still a thing? I mean, I guess because it's the OG ride.
It's OG.
So, like, why would they get rid of it?
And it's like a staple in the park. In fact, I read that the mountain itself was constructed to hide other things. It's one of those forced perspective rides.
Yeah.
And they use the mountain to hide, I think it was like the sky rail or whatever. Yeah. And so the mountain stayed. So they're like, well, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
Let's put a double roller coaster, first of its kind.
Might as well.
Now
they got Dolly's Dip. Oh my God.
That's so bad, Dolly's Dip.
So bad. Poor
yeah,
Dolly.
well, also like George's Tower where they kept the beam that killed him.
Yeah, that's kind of sick.
Okay. So, final thing we're going to touch on is the now abandoned River Country, which was Disney's one and only water park. And off of Florida. It sits right off of Walt Disney World.
Okay. Are you going to touch on why it's abandoned now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I knew this is a story that I could have told you by heart because when I heard this, I had a new fear for bacteria. So here we go.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So this park opened in 1976. It was wilderness theme, and it was one of the first themed water parks. Like, we had water parks. This one's fully themed. Think like Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
Silver Dollar City.
Okay.
Okay. So the park featured something unique. It filtered in water from Bay Lake. So there were slides and everything that were the chlorine water.
Right.
But there were pools where it's like you have the pool, it filters into the lake. And so you have this like natural wilderness
Okay.
water park.
Nice.
Yeah, you would think. No.
Yeah,
this is ultimately what caused its closing. So in the 80s, this is less than a decade later, an 11-year-old boy dies after swimming in the mixed water. He inhaled some of the water, obviously accident or whatever, and he consumed a brain-eating amoeba. The name is way too complicated, but if you type in brain-eating amoeba, you'll find it.
Oh my God.
So this came direct. This I researched about the amoeba itself because I'm like, how common is this? How was this a freak accident? So according to the CDC's website right now, it is rare. There's only 10 cases in the past 10 years, but this in the history that we've known of this amoeba, there's only 5 known survivors.
Oh my God.
So it's rare, but your odds aren't good.
Yeah.
So this boy died like within hours. So you'll get headaches, but then the headaches lead into like body seizures, hallucinations until like your brain is literally eaten. And this is, it's so small you have to use a microscope to see it. Like we're talking like a
gosh, like a
microorganism.
Little...
Yes.
Oh my God.
All from just accidentally inhaling water. So, this specific amoeba only has 5 documented survivors in North America. Okay. But North America,
still
expanding past the U.S.
Area.
I think there was like one in Mexico, like probably something
south,
random.
Yeah, somewhere in South America, but like south of, I was going to say south of Florida or whatever. All the Gulf, it's like warmer water or whatever.
So extremely painful, fast acting, deadly. Here's the sick and twisted part. The park remained open even that day.
Oh my God, even though they knew.
The park remains open that day, the next day, and for another 21 years.
How many more people died from this, from that park?
Good question. So what did Disney do? They know they have a brain-eating amoeba, so they said any of the mixed water is for sunbathing only. So they shut down all the pools and said you can lay out, you can look at it, can't go in it.
Get it.
You can do the slides and you can do the the little whatever.
You
just can't get in the water. Which I don't know how that even lasted 21 years. Like why would you even go? Like it makes no sense. So but they did. They lasted 21 years. And they tried to fix the problem. They tried obviously more chlorine, more sanitation, more water filtration, but the lake overpowered even the barriers to separate the two. Yeah. So ultimately they were like, okay, we can't fix this. We can't mix it. And we've already built the park this way. Right. So they shut down. Let's see. Officially closed in 2001. 2001.
Oh my God.
We could have been there.
We could
have gone.
Yep, could have.
So sad.
Wow.
So crazy thing about Disney and the way they do things is when I research this, since Disney is probably the biggest corporation in the world, they have the most successful theme parks in the world. I'm like, there's got to be hundreds of these stories.
Yeah.
No. In fact, as of June 2022, only 62 people have died at Walt Disney World. And that is not like, that's acts of God. That's anything. And 25 at Disneyland as of May 2022. Like that, guys, that is unheard of. We're talking about like dangerous things. And
there's no way.
So either they have done a really good job, and we're talking workers and these are people who could have a heat stroke, people who had a pre-existing condition.
Anything. And
that number is so low. Like Disneyland has its own zip code and they've only had 25 people die. Like
suspicious.
It is, right? It's also the lowest number of any theme park ever. So we're talking, there are much smaller theme parks with much larger numbers.
Yeah.
So they're either, I mean, they do have the money to have the best of the best as far as like safety goes and all of this,
course.
but
it makes you wonder.
Or they're just really good at covering shit up.
Right.
So, there's so many other stories, but this is a short, sinister story. There's one, like, a little boy got eaten by an alligator. Like, there's a lot, guys.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Disney is not so magical. And now, I mean, it makes me want to go back to these places and, like,
it's kind of dark.
Ride pirates, especially. I want to, like, look at the skeletons. I mean, I'm not an expert in bones, but I have a feeling, like, it would just make the ride so much better.
Like, oh yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that's definitely real. No, what they said about the skeletons, there was some guy who went to school for a long time and got a degree in something. And I guess when the first thing to, like, start rotting is the inside. And he's like, you can see in the skull, like in the nasal cavities and the eye sockets where the skull is decaying. And there's no way that they put that much detail to the inside of the skull for it to be fake.
My God.
Like, he's like, I just don't believe that. Like, I think that's a real skull. It's got all of, like, the tissue markings and natural decay.
Wow. Yes, it makes you, like, wonder.
Yeah.
Like, how many are real and how many are fake.
So if I put it in my will that I want to be scattered at one of the parks, but only Alexa can do it, are you going to risk it?
I'll try.
I mean, you could get banned from Disney and it not affect your life.
No, I wouldn't care.
We got to go, though. Disney with me is, like, not just, like, going to Disney.
It sounds miserable.
Oh, my God. Guys, cancel her. Like, I'll give you her address and you can come break into her house. Jeez.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure it would be really fun.
And Alexa's never going to let me pick story again.
Because they'll all be Disney themed. If it were up to her, everything would be Disney. She would be walking and living and dreaming and eating and shitting and Disney.
Just shitting little Mickey Mouse heads everywhere.
Yeah. Everything would be Disney.
Guys, okay, I had several ideas, but this one just with the 50th celebration, I was like, okay.
I'm taking her to DA meetings. Disney Anonymous.
My life is about to get even a whole lot more Disney, bitch. You just wait.
I'm well aware.
Well, guys,
it was a good story, though.
Right? It's not over the top, but like,
no, it was a good story.
let me tell you this too, since we have a couple extra minutes. There exists a group of people who are obsessed with theme park knowledge, especially like failed theme park attractions or abandoned. I am one of them. I watch these. Shout out to Defunct Land on YouTube. He covers all of like Disney's failures and abandoned things, but also like Six Flags. He did one over Worlds of Fun.
What about Silver Dollar City?
I left him a comment and I was like, please cover, because there's a death. There's a gruesome death at Silver Dollar City. Did we tell you?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so there is an indoor ride at Silver Dollar City called Fire in the Hole. And again, it was kind of the first of its kind. It's an original ride at Silver Dollar City. You go through the story of the Bald Knobbers who were the vigilantes turned criminals. Yeah. Like they would burn down cities, pillage and plunder. Yeah. They were bad. And it was all a true story too.
Right.
So, it's an old rickety, it almost looks like you're sitting in like little box cars and you can even see this track. So there's maintenance tracks. So if like at night they can switch over to the maintenance track and they can pull into those. Well, these maintenance tracks, so like if your cart sat like at chest level, these maintenance tracks had poles over them to like knock off anything that might be sitting on top, I'm assuming. Right. I don't know why else you would have those, but they open the ride doesn't switch from maintenance track, and this man is sitting with his next to his family. People in front of him see what's happening, obviously, so they're small enough to duck. Well, this man was not able to duck despite knowing what was happening at this point. Could not duck. He wasn't fully decapitated. It broke his guys, this is violent, so tune out. But it broke his neck enough to where the train they pulled it back into the track, had to escort his whole family out. Obviously, it was like a huge deal at the park. And I get so fucking terrified every time I ride that ride now. Because you can still see the maintenance track. Like, it's just covered up by, like, a black curtain.
Oh,
but they have a light on back there, so you can, like, peek over to the side, and you can, like, see it.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, watching what's about to happen to you?
No.
He knew. Well, I mean, we couldn't ask him,
yeah,
but
he had to have known.
But the people in front of him were ducking. Everyone's yelling, duck, blah, blah, blah. You can obviously tell the ride is not going where it's supposed to, and you're just not able to do it.
That poor guy.
Ugh. And your kid is sitting next to you.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Wow.
Anyways.
Does he haunt it? Like, is he haunting?
Probably. Guys, that park is scary.
Oh my
I did the
gosh.
cave tours there, and I'd have to shut down the cave at night in total darkness. Oh, I've got some stories.
Oh my god.
We'll do caves for the next one.
No.
We'll do cave adventures for the next short.
Our City is the next story.
Yay! Yay! More theme parks! And they're not Disney. So, Alexa, we both win. Anyways, guys, sorry, this was a gruesome one. But, again, I know there's listeners out there that like that weird theme park world. And I just like to disturb the magic. I'm just here to ruin lives.
She is. Well, good story.
Thanks.
Yeah.
She's going to beat me as soon as I press stop on the recording. All right, guys. Well, hey, podcast movement at this point will be over and done with, but we want to say thank you. We also got several donations through our PayPal and at trivia night. So, guys, thank you so much. This podcast movement is very expensive, but we think it's going to really help improve things for you guys.
Yes.
Do some networking and things like that. So, thank you so much.
Yes.
Continue to shop merch.
Always shop our merch.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shop merch. You can go to our Patreon. We've got $1, $5, and $10 levels.
Do download our episodes. So, fun fact on Spotify, although you've downloaded previous episodes, it doesn't download the new episodes. So, if you want the new episodes downloaded, you have to do them individually.
Yeah.
So,
Good
make
to
sure
know.
you download the episodes.
And actually hit the download. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button.
Yeah.
Like, hit the buttons. It takes you 5 seconds, but
Not
it helps us tremendously.
It really does.
So, wherever you're listening, watching, whatever, just start, like, slamming your keyboards and just, like, start hitting things.
Right.
And that's it.
And that's it.
So, all right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week for Virgo season.
Woo woo.
Bye.
Stay sinister.